Let's be like messy. Successfully being a straight C student. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Nicole Charlene. The outline of my TED Talk would be 3 things. First would be the story of why being an average for me is successful. And second would be me elaborating on why success is not quantitative. And third, I'm going to show you what I have learned from going out of a worth grade-based environment. Not too long ago, I was a student in this very high school. One of the most memorable moments was when a teacher scolded me for my scores because she knew I was not doing enough. I told her at that time, "Well, miss, I don't need this subject for my university. They don't care about the subject score." It was maths, by the way. She responded with, "Sure, but you needed to graduate from this high school." She walked away, and I froze at that very moment. See, obviously, I knew what she said was true, but being in an environment where getting good grades is so highly valued, I did not expect this nonchalant truth, especially coming from a teacher, especially coming from the math teacher. From that day onwards, I studied the hardest for maths out of all of my subjects. And a little later, I became a graduate of SmakOne class of 2020 Social and Humanities class. Let me tell you a little bit about my high school. It is called SmakOne Penabur, Jakarta. It is considerably one of the most academically highest achieving high school in Indonesia. You won medals from the Science Olympic. Got it? World level debating. Got that too. Arts, coding, obviously. Sports, we're not the best, but we still got many awards for it. Oh, and also, it is known for being incredibly strict and hard to pass. Our teachers, bless their heart, are amazing. They're good teachers, but they are definitely score-oriented. And more than that, the reputation of this high school attracts parents who would like their children to exist or to prosper in a certain nature. And this certain nature is a very competitive one. So this resulted in a very ambitious environment filled with a very, very ambitious student who cried if they did not pass their test, one of their features. Honestly, I've done it. Countless of others of my friends have done it too. I realize we cried because we associate ourselves with our grade, that somehow our worth is numbered, that academics is the biggest thing that we can achieve in life, that these numbers define us. Luckily for me, it was not as bad because I have decided that I do not want to be another score-oriented student. I want to be different. So I did become different. I find the best possible method to get out of the score-oriented environment while still being able to get a degree is working within the system. I knew I had to work within the system and my work must be seen and appreciated by the school, so I joined numerous competitions, therefore I can have a life out of school. So that for me is one definition of success. To achieve one thing in multiple different ways, and at the end of the day still being able to achieve what I want. It was tough at first being and choosing these different paths. I had academic FOMO. Academic FOMO is a term that is sourced from Amy Loafman, a final year master's and PhD candidate from the University of Melbourne. And she defined academic FOMO as the fear of missing out on academic activities, acquiring new knowledge, and missing out on the general learning experience. I felt academic FOMO because I genuinely like learning, but I do know that I do not function best when my head is only filled with schools and the grades and all the subjects that my high school forced me to take. Okay, everyone has a debate about the best learning experience or the best education system. I'm not here to square the debate. I do have my own opinions about it, and Indonesia's education system, or Smokey's education system, learning environment, is definitely not perfect. And therefore, I keep trying to find other alternatives to complete what I find is missing. It will never be perfect. No one system is perfect. You have to cater it to your own. But here's the thing, in Smokey, you can't be left out, because like you'll just fade into the background, and I did not want to be that. I did not want to be a student that got bad grades and is not doing anything about it, because that is also a sign of me being responsible and taking charge of what I want to do. So honestly, I do not want to be left out from standing out, because my scores are not as good as my peers. So therefore, I found the life out of school. And there are extracurricular activities. I grinded for debate and Model UN experiences, Model United Nations experiences. I contributed to multiple organizations that fight for a different cause. I interned in a few places, worked in a few areas, tutored. I tried everything. And honestly, that is the key to finding out what you like or what you're good at. Just try. Don't be scared of rejection. Don't ever not submit your application somewhere just because you think you won't be accepted. Just try it out. But here's the thing. Balancing all of my activities was hard. It was very hard. My grades at that time were definitely not the best, but they are enough to get me into the only university that I want and the only degree that I want. I did not know this then, but there is research in the Journal of Adolescence that says that if high schoolers were active in extracurricular activities, these graduates will have a higher tendency of getting a bachelor degree and getting that bachelor degree on time. The research did not specifically lay out and mention every single factor of why this is the case, but I presume that the extracurricular activities provide students with extra skills that are needed in university. Being in university right now, I really do value the skill you never got to learn in high school. For example, adapting, because in high school, yes, you had to adapt to different kinds of people, but it's also homogeneous at a certain point, because like it's the same group of people, I would say. Like it's also like area based at a certain point, the zoning policy in Indonesia. So there are a lot of constraints from exposing you to what the world's actually like. What I really learned in my extracurricular activities was that to not take things for granted, and especially the people around me, because in high school, things are handed to you. If you want to study, here are all the materials, you have the book, the teacher will give you like practices and like mock exams. I took that for granted. I did not have that in uni, definitely not. Or like the friends that I have in high school, obviously we're forced to be in this environment for like 3 years, and so like we had to be friends with each other. In real life, you can just ignore your friends and not text them for like 5 days and you won't be friends anymore. Also in work, that's also this scenario. But yeah, I learned to not take things for granted. I have learned tremendous lessons from my friends that I've met on the way, my coaches that taught me a lot of different skills, and especially I've learned a lot from my opponents. I learned that being the smartest person in the room is not always the most important thing. I learned to be kind, and I learned to listen, but ultimately, I learned respect. In my competitions, I've met a lot of different people, many opinions. Some of them I don't approve it, some I do approve. But it was a learning experience for me to be able to approve of it, because we're all stuck in our own bubble. We all have our own perceptions of what we grew up in, what we are used to. But if no one breaks that bubble, if no one tries to give you a certain and a different perspective, you'll be stuck in that. You'll believe the same exact thing that you've been believing and you've been told all this entire time. In debate and MUN, I was told, I was forced to be able to see every single point of view. So I had to force myself to put myself in other people's shoes. And I can now confidently say I can understand why people will support euthanasia, why some people won't support euthanasia. And yeah, in debate, there's a pro side, there's a con side, and I don't always agree with the topic. So for example, sometimes I had to support abortion, sometimes I had to not support abortion. I'm not gonna tell you which are my views because they're just like very private to me, but I have learned to respect the other side's opinion, and that for me is very valuable. The way that I learn to understand all these things is by listening to people, reading different opinions, and that process of understanding and just listening to people, being able to understand people, is so liberating to me. Humans are always such complex, ephemeral creatures, but I am convinced that our memory of their opinion, every single one's opinions, their words and their actions, are the things that make human beings eternal. I apply the skill of listening and understanding while I'm working. I learned that not everyone will work as efficiently as you do. Everyone has a different method, and that does not mean that they're wrong. They're just different. I learned to embrace this. I always learn to try to understand that these differences are an asset that I could learn from. So being different in high school did not make me less of a student. Not focusing on scores did not make me a nuisance. Trying a different path means I am putting an effort to break out of the constraints that we call normality. And breaking out of the path led me to one of the best feelings that you can ever feel in one part of your life. Reaching the end, graduating. On graduation, my other friends walked away with academic excellence certificates. I would know. One of my best friends is the highest achieving person on the social science classes. One of my closest friends, like one of my best friends, is also like she ranked like 4th on the list. One of them ranked 1st and 2nd. So they were very academically gifted. On the other hand, I walked away satisfied, happy. And that for me is a success. See, success in itself is our own accomplishment. Being able to achieve whatever we want to achieve. Most of the time, we value ourselves and build our identity based on arbitrary things. For example, in Smokey, I would say a lot of people base their identity and their worth based on arbitrary scores that were given by exams. Smokey is an abbreviation for SmakOne Penabur Jakarta, by the way. Here's what I want to remind these kinds of people. Exams, scores, the questions, they're made and given by human beings with arbitrary mood swings and sometimes incomprehensible metrics. If your teacher is having a good day, a B- could be a B. But on a bad day, a B- could be a C. If we keep associating ourselves with something so unstable, doesn't that mean that we ourselves are unstable? Doesn't that mean that we are so reliant and dependent on something external to grab grabs of ourselves? Is that something that you want to be? I ask you this. What is so bad with being average? Being just enough? I get this insecurity of not being able to get into the university that you want. And honestly, I'm not telling you to slack off. But if you have a goal, for example, a university that you want to go to, and all they need is an 80 average, then work for an 80. You do not need to sleep at 3 a.m. every day if your goal is simply to be enough. Strategize your studying. Do meaningful things and getting good scores. Everyone goes to school. Everyone has a score. But you can do a lot of different other things in your life. Join an organization to fight for a cause. Volunteer someplace. Pursue your own personal projects. All I'm saying is find yourself. You are a student, yes. but you are a student among 10 other things. Don't let you being a student overshadow your own identity. I personally do not want to be a shell of who I am supposed to be or who I want to be. So I escape. Currently, I'm going to a university in the Netherlands. My only university that I want to go to, my own personal goal, Leiden University. I'm learning international relations and organizations, and I'm loving every single moment of it. I'm totally immersing myself in a new culture, and being here made me realize that my definition of success is when I am living my life with the people I care about. So simple, so cliche, so cheesy, but so true. Again, I feel liberated here. I learned to appreciate life, and now my goal in life is simply to enjoy everything. Every single moment, cherish every single thing. And that for me is success. I like to end this talk by asking a few questions. Who are you? What defines you right now? Who do you want to be? And what are you going to do? What are you currently scared of? Human beings are all bound to fail sometimes, but that doesn't mean we are destined to fail. Apply for that internship, try out that new activity, join that competition. If you're not willing to try, you have already failed. Just like SmakOne's lobby was not built in a day, your success will be built in a day either. Giving credit to my roots, I'll end this talk with a debating rhetoric. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nicole Charlene, and I have never been prouder to propose this TED Talk.